Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. Anda bersama saya Nabilah, Khaleeda dan ini Niaga AWANI berbakikan 2 hari saja lagi untuk pembentangan Belanjawan 2025 pada 18 Oktober yang akan dibentangkan oleh Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, dan kita mulakan dengan perkembangan berkaitan ini. Kementerian Kewangan hanya membuat pinjaman untuk membiayai defisit fiskal dan hutang yang matang bagi sentiasa memastikan ia tidak meminjam secara berlebihan. Menteri Kewangan kedua Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah Azlan berkata, melalui konsolidasi fiskal secara tegas dan berperingkat, kerajaan berjaya mengekang peningkatan jumlah pinjaman bersih sekaligus mengurangkan pertumbuhan hutang. Beliau berkata jumlah pinjaman kerajaan persekutuan pada 2023 sebenarnya berkurang kepada RM226.595 bilion berbanding RM230.949 bilion pada 2022. Ujarnya defisit fiskal berjaya dikurangkan secara konsisten. Jumlah pinjaman bersih dijangka terus berkurang iaitu dari RM99.4 bilion pada 2022 kepada RM92.5 bilion pada 2023. Trend ini katanya dijangka akan terus berkurangan sekitar RM86 bilion pada 2024. Katanya dalam teks ucapan penggulungan usul laporan Ketua Audit Negara LKAN siri ketiga 2024 mengenai penyata kewangan kerajaan persekutuan tahun 2023 di Dewan Rakyat pada Isnin. Menteri Kewangan kedua itu juga berkata daripada RM241.509 bilion yang dinyatakan di dalam LKLN siri ketiga 2024, sejumlah RM8.776 bilion merupakan premium bersih yang dilaraskan kepada akaun penyelesaian premium atau diskaun sekuriti kerajaan. Sementara itu, RM6.138 bilion merupakan transaksi switch auction iaitu kaedah yang digunakan oleh kerajaan persekutuan sebagai strategi pengurusan hutang untuk mengurangkan risiko pembiayaan semula. Amir Hamzah turut menjelaskan isu komitmen kewangan kerajaan yang meningkat RM0.139 bilion kepada RM285.634 bilion dan komitmen jaminan yang mengembang RM3.288 bilion kepada RM227.404 bilion berbanding 2022. Kesemua komitmen jaminan ini adalah komitmen hutang syarikat berkaitan kerajaan dan badan berkanun yang secara khususnya melaksanakan obligasi sosial terutamanya projek infrastruktur pengangkutan awam.
Setinggi mana siling dan lantai ekonomi negara telah dinaikkan? Sejauh mana kualiti dan taraf hidup rakyat telah ditingkatkan? Bagaimana pendekatan seluruh negara jadi kekuatan merealisasikan visi ekonomi madani? Ikuti pembentangan dan kupasan komprehensif Belanjawan 2025 pada 18 Oktober ini hanya di saluran 501 dan di semua platform digital Astro AWANI.
Alright, now we want to discuss on a topic that revolves around Belanjawan 2025 on how we can empower social enterprises for sustainable growth and impact. We know that social entrepreneurship in Malaysia is a booming sector that addresses social and environmental challenges while striving for financial sustainability. And despite its growth, social enterprises face significant hurdles, including limited awareness, funding difficulties, and a lack of a clear legal framework. And capacity building and market access also remain challenging alongside the complex task of measuring social impact. So how should Belanjawan 2025 focus on this critical sector? Joining me on the line is Ahmad Azwar Zainuddin, the CEO of Satu Creative. Perhaps we could start with first one, Azwar. How can Malaysia craft a regulatory framework that not only accelerates the growth of social enterprises but also safeguards their mission-driven ethics and societal impact?
Foremost, just to share a little bit, I think looking forward to the budget this Friday, social enterprise is, I think, potentially something that can add a lot of value to the Malaysian economy. If you look at globally, social enterprise, according to the World Bank, generates about 2 trillion in revenue and employs 200 million employees, right? So looking at what the government can do, perhaps looking forward, moving to 2025, is to consider, I think, a clearer regulatory framework to allow that a bit of clarity in terms of what is social enterprise. At the same time, having a clear regulatory framework also will provide trust, because when we look at social enterprise, these are businesses that are basically providing social, environmental value, at the same time applying business model that allows them to be more sustainable compared to other models, for instance, charity. So in this regard, regard, the government can do many things. I think three things that I would like to share this morning is one thing is to have a clearer regulatory framework. We have many examples that the government can, I guess, follow suit or enhance upon. Secondly, is looking at the funding landscape, because we cannot just promote social entrepreneurship, but we also need to promote the ecosystem. And among the things that can be considered in the budget is to move beyond only grants or traditional financing, but also look at things like bonds or impact investment, something that the government can nurture. And lastly, of course, with social entrepreneurship, it is more complex than it seems. And so with that regard, I think a lot of work could be done in terms of talent development to get the leadership, to get the employees. And lastly, of course, I think one thing the government could support the social entrepreneurship sector is to promote the movement, to get the market excited about this, I guess, exciting business model that not only generates employment, creates value like traditional businesses, but also assist with a lot of issues that we are facing today, from climate change to inequality to unemployment to aged care and others. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we're still on the discussing on policy and regulatory support. In your opinion, Azwa, what innovative legal structures can the government introduce to distinguish these social enterprises from the transition from traditional businesses to ensure that the only authentic impact-driven enterprises receive the support needed?
Yes. I think in terms of regulatory, I think one thing that the government is doing is to have I guess, introduce accreditation for social entrepreneurship. But I think it can go a step further, because at times when it is, I guess, managed, I guess, not in a scale where it is an act or it is larger, then I guess it doesn't really excite the market. So with that regard, one of the things the government can do is, I guess, have a clearer status of what an SE is. And with that regard as well, that requires SEs to behave a certain way. I think among them is being mission locked, I guess commitment to how much revenue that is being generated goes back to the community or environment. And on top of that as well is to have, I guess, transparency in terms of impact reporting, framework, structure that the social enterprise can use as a guideline, but at the same time, it also, I think what is more important is to talk to the market, talk to the investment, so that the industry can grow further.
Mm-hmm. And to ensure that the financing and also sustainable financing and also investment, and considering that with capital access remaining a significant hurdle, how can Malaysia actually develop innovative and also sustainable financing avenues that go beyond grants to empower social enterprises for long-term scalability?
I think, there are already a lot of progress that has been made over the years. I think we look at foundations, corporate foundations, especially with JLCs, JLICs, from Yayasan Hasana to Yayasan Petronas, Yayasan Maybank. They are actively working together with social enterprises that are providing solutions out there. But I think we can take a step further. I think the industry as a whole, or the sector as a whole, would benefit if we were to develop also the investment and capital front. I think a lot of engagement can be done to, I guess, match and facilitate funding between social entrepreneurs as well as the investment community, so that the sector can scale. Because at the moment, as we look at the sector as a whole, many social enterprises in the country are relatively in the early stages. So they need to take, I guess, the support needs to be given to them so that they can scale, so that the impact is meaningful. And the beauty about this, Nabilah, is social enterprise actually supports the government, because in today's age with fiscal constraints and all that, the government cannot do everything. I think the model of charity is, while it is good and it has benefit the country and globally, people and environment that are in need of support, but I think what social enterprises bring to the market or to the country is the ability to be able to, I guess, spread the risk, be more sustainable. So basically that's in terms of funding. I think to develop further beyond grant and funding, but looking at more innovative. Even with this regard, I think alternative platform like crowdfunding and P2P lending is also something that can be, I guess, developed further in order to support the sector. Because we need the sector to grow bigger and larger because the need is also increasing with climate change, with all sort of issues that the world is facing today.
So let's look at the human capital development aspects now. What targeted initiatives can Malaysia actually implement to cultivate a generation of leaders equipped with a unique blend of business and social impact expertise required to drive the social enterprise sector post-pandemic especially?
There are many things that the government could do in this regard to be considered, because a budget is only 2 days away. One of them is to promote and this concept of social entrepreneurship. I think it can start at a very early age. I think as a country, we are pushing towards, developing more entrepreneurs, more innovation, more services and innovative products to the market. So I think with that regard, the government can, promote social entrepreneurship at an early age. If there are programs or sessions on entrepreneurship, I think the element of social entrepreneurship can be introduced so that, we have a larger pool of talents that are aware that this can be something that aspire towards. I think more immediate in the short term, universities, programs can also include curriculum that, promote entrepreneurship, promote various innovative business models, create exposure. And I think another thing that the government could do as well is to encourage more support from the, GLC, GLICs, as well as the government agencies to expand the program, not only limited to the basic of social entrepreneurship, but also how do you go beyond? How do we even export our social enterprises so that they can not only tackle issues locally, at a local level, state level, national level, but also expand them to the region. I think this is very timely, considering that Malaysia is actually taking on the mantle of Asian Championship next year.
So within these 2 minutes, can you actually give your insights on how can this budget 2025 be utilized to create a high-impact, resilient ecosystem for social enterprises, and what key financial and regulatory levers should be prioritized to maximize their growth potential? And also, how can the government ensure that this budget initiatives for social enterprises are strategically designed to drive both short-term and also long-term recovery, sustainable socio-economic transformation across the country?
You strike the nail right on the head there, Nabilah. I think the key thing is to leverage and be strategic about it. I think it cannot be treated as a small industry because globally we see the potential and impact of social entrepreneurship. So what I wish and I hope for the government to consider is to look at, more sustainable, expansive, and holistic way of supporting social entrepreneurship so that we can grow the sector, have heroes. We already have so many heroes, from Masala on Wheels, from Epic Homes, but we want to create more heroes and larger heroes so that it's something that we can take pride on, a country that is innovative but at the same time impactful, not just to the country but to the region and globally as well. So as a whole, so that's what I hope and I think can share from this sharing, Nabilah.
All right, I would like to say thank you to Ahmad Azwar Zainuddin, the Chief Executive Officer of Satu Creative, for sharing your insights and for sharing your time as well. And all of our discussion can be found on astroawani.com and all of our social media platforms. More Belanjawan updates after this, so stay tuned and don't go anywhere. We'll go for a short break. We'll be right back.
Nak coklat? Hari ni tak boleh. Nanti saya kena dengan mak saya.
Pepsodent baharu disahkan halal. Mikrokalsium aktif dan Proflorida Complex membantu memperbaiki lubang halus akibat makanan manis sebelum menjadi kaviti untuk pelindungan maksimum. Pepsodent.
Satu dekad penuh gemilang. Sepak takraw kini kembali. Penuh dengan aksi mendebarkan. Dapatkan tiket anda sekarang. Pelanggan Astro juga boleh memenangi tiket di aplikasi My Astro. Jangan lepas peluang keemasan ini.
Ni atlet squash paling muda yang menang kejuaraan Asia ni, Tuan.
Siapa yang bunuh Rina?
Saya best friend Rina. Tapi saya bunuh friendship kita orang.
Saya menyampah sangat dengan dia. Bagi tahu cikgu siapa hit and run X. Dan semua masalah ni akan selesai.
Dia bakal letupkan seluruh blok A dalam telaga arahan dia.
Lepaskan lagi kita orang! Seronok tengok awak semua semangat macam ni.
Kelas tahanan Cikgu Hiraki di Astro Ria dan Astro Go.
Welcome back to AWANI, still on Belanjawan 2025, where it is set to be unveiled on October 18th, 2024, aims to drive sustainable economic reforms and improve governance in Malaysia. And the country's economy has shown robust growth, with GDP rising from 2.9% in fourth quarter 2023 to 5.9% in the second quarter 2024. And the Fiscal Responsibility Act is the key part of this strategy, focusing on reducing financial leakage and enhancing economic resilience. And key initiatives include expanding renewable energy programs, increasing digital grants for SMEs, and significant infrastructure development projects. And the future outlook remains positive, with continued emphasis on sustainable growth and social welfare improvements under the Economy Madani framework. So to discuss further on this, we have Dr. Rozman Rasul joining me on the line, the Chief Executive Officer, BIMB Securities Sdn Bhd. Doctor, firstly, how do you see the budget 2025 accelerating the post-pandemic economic growth agenda? And in the context of global economic uncertainty, what key steps should the government take to ensure the resilience of Malaysia's stock market?
Salam Nabilah, salam Madani dari kami BNB Securities, anak syarikat milik penuh Bank Islam. Talking about budget 2035, which is coming very fast, I think it's going to be taking on the 18th of October, which is I think tomorrow, lusa. So how do we see the budget 2035 accelerating the post-pandemic economic agenda? Now, first off, we think that it's very imperative for the government to keep the engine of growth strong. We need to ensure that private consumption remain resilient. We just had a very good news that our unemployment rate has dropped further to 3.2%. In August, that is full employment for Malaysia. Congratulations to the country. And then wage growth and of course civil servant. Additional than that, we need to ensure that aggregate investment remain robust. You just, Nabilah, mentioned about PFFRA 2023, where the target is for DevEx development expenditure to be at least 3% of GDP. We saw last year that the government announced a 90 billion development expenditure. This year, we're not surprised that it could reach the same amount or slightly lower. Nonetheless, it will remain very strong for the government. We think that the government will continue to pump the economy through pump priming. We shall see the expenditure on railways, highways, data center, flood mitigation, and we also would like to see certain measures to help or to assist to push further the manufacturing sector with the advent of 5G, AI, big data consumption, and also, of course, mining, the start of oil production that also power the economy, among others, the beginning production, oil production on oil field like Kasawari, Gaza, Jerun oil field, apart from higher output from existing fields. Now, we have actually learned from the news flow that the government is quite optimistic that the GDP this year is going to be slightly higher compared to the expectation 4 to 5%. We think we are on the same page on that. The first quarter GDP is about 4.2%. The second quarter over 5% on average is slightly above the government target of 4 to 5%. And we think that the government could surprise on the upside, given that the planning will be aligned according to NETR and IMP 2030 as a second reading for the 12 MP. And of course, we are at the corner of 13 MP, 13 Malaysian plan that will be revealed in 2026 to 2030 that will power us to become a high income nation. So all in all, among others, that the highlight of the budget is actually for the salary hike for the civil servant. Civil servant, as we know, that they represent what 10% of total employment. So we think that with all the private consumption firing and also aggregate investment is accelerating, services sector of course we think that will remain one of our engine of growth. We know that tourism sector is expected to receive more than 27 million tourists this year, and then that to power us into Visit Malaysia year 2026-2027. We think that Malaysian engine of growth will be firing. We hope to see that to be above 5%. We are not surprised. That is nonetheless, even if we reach more than 5%, that is within our potential, and we think that the prospect is very bright for the country in this year and of course in 2026 and onwards.
Doctor, despite all this positive trajectory and the robust growth of our economic development, one of the main themes of Budget 2025 is controlling inflation and at the same time the cost of living. So in your opinion, what challenges might the government face in achieving these goals? And from an investor's perspective, are measures such as subsidies and also tax incentives are actually sufficient to maintain market confidence, Doctor?
One of the biggest basket in the inflation consumer in the consumer price basket is fuel costs and of course food. Yeah, so food represent I think about 30% of the basket. Fuel I think is about close to 15%. So we are actually a net importer of food, and we are also a net importer of petroleum, although we are net exporter when you combine natural gas and petroleum. So all these are actually not within our control because it depends on the fluctuation of the global commodity prices. So in order to control the inflation from rising or accelerating, we think that the government may need to subsidize certain volatile price items, yeah, just to maintain inflation within the acceptable range. However, we think that the government is moving to a targeted subsidy, because when you do targeted subsidy, then we can ensure that only the deserved few get the subsidy from the government. I think that is the economy madani. That is what the government is heading to, in order, of course, to control inflation, one, and also to ensure that the government coffers is actually channeled to those that actually deserve, and also, of course, to control our fiscal deficit. So that's very important. So on that score, we think that the government is actually reforming the economy to ensure that it is sustainable. So for the stock market, for the investors' point of view, if the government is actually proceeding with this economic reform, fiscal reform, I think investor will look at Malaysia favorably, as it is that we are seeing a very huge capital inflow into the bond market, equity market, and also FDI. And to answer to that, Nabilah, I think the government is doing the right thing to ensure that subsidy is given to the deserved few. And I think the budget 2025 will reveal even more, because withdrawing the subsidy will have to be done phase by phase. It cannot be at one go, because we need to ensure that it will not be any disruption to the economy.
Doctor, it is expected to have a more radical and also more different kind of policy and also formations for budget 2025. So how does BIMB Securities actually plan to capitalize on the economic transformation that will be tabled by Ekonomi Madani, Kerajaan Madani, and how do you plan to outline in budget 2025, and which sectors or industry do you foresee benefiting the most from this budget, and how will this influence your investment strategies in the long term?
I think the government has been very transparent, and the direction is very clear. We think that the fiscal policy in budget 2025 will include the policy directions set by NIMP 2030, NETR, PIKAS 2030, and economic Madani narratives. Under these plans, we view technology sector to benefit from NIMP 2030 as the aspiration to move up the value chain of semiconductor towards IC design and wafer fabrication. Automotive sector is expected to gain from local EV development and supporting industries like EV batteries, EV battery charging ports. Oil and gas sector is likely to benefit from the exploration of carbon capture, utilization, storage. As for NTER, we expect RE and solar players to enjoy the incentive and action plan set by the government. For PIKAS 2020, this will set the stage for the construction players to be busy at least for the next decade. So I think the government is covering all angles, ensuring that Malaysia is actually reaching its potential, rightfully so, as we move towards the high income nation, which the government is expect to achieve by 2027 or 2028.
Okay, Doctor, we have about 1 minute plus left. Perhaps some hopes and aspirations for budget 2025. 2 days left.
The hope is that the government is able to set the bar higher for the GDP growth of 5 to 6% is something that Malaysians have been waiting for. We think that is achievable. It's not something that we have not achieved before. I think we have achieved over 6% GDP growth before after we did economic transformation, the government transformation in 2010. I think it's right for us to actually continue to surprise investors on the upside. I think Malaysia is able to generate or produce GDP growth above the regional peers like Indonesia or even Philippines. Even though Philippines is a lot more higher at 5.8% to 6%, but we think that our GDP growth can beat even those of Indonesia. Nabilah?
All right, thank you so much to Dr. Rozman, Chief Executive Officer BIMB Securities Senior Berhad, for your sharing and insight, and all of our discussion can be found on astro.com and all of our social media platforms.
Setinggi mana siling dan lantai ekonomi negara telah dinaikkan? Sejauh mana kualiti dan taraf hidup rakyat telah ditingkatkan? Bagaimana pendekatan seluruh negara jadi kekuatan merealisasikan visi ekonomi madani? Ikuti pembentangan dan kupasan komprehensif Belanjawan 2025 pada 18 Oktober ini hanya di saluran 501 dan di semua platform digital Astro AWANI.
Dibawakan oleh penaja utama jelajah jiwa SME, Unify Business, rakan digital pilihan anda. Baik, Pertubuhan Kebajikan Pusat Aktiviti Warga Emas Pawai Keluang komited dalam memperkasakan pembangunan ekonomi Perak menerusi program kebun komuniti atau kebuniti madani Pawai Keluang dalam aktiviti harian Warga Emas. Program ini dikendalikan oleh 10 ahli jawatan kuasa Pawai dan memiliki lebih 300 ahli aktif warga emas pelbagai kaum.
Ketua Kebuniti Madani Pawai Keluang, Fauziah Ngadiman berkata inisiatif program ini adalah sebagai salah satu aktiviti harian bagi warga emas selain peluang untuk menjana pendapatan bagi komuniti sendiri. Katanya penanaman dan penjualan pokok itu merupakan produk pertama keluaran Pawai tersebut. Program yang dianjurkan ini mendapat sokongan daripada Pertubuhan Peladang dan Pejabat Pertanian Daerah Keluang.
Okey, kebuniti ni sebenarnya bermula awal tahun hari tu, bulan Februari, kita dapat sumbangan daripada Peladang berjumlah 21,000. Tetapi untuk buat ni lah, peralatan dan rumah penghuni ni kan, untuk buat tu sahaja, tak ada duit semua tak adalah. Tu kita bermula dengan tanaman sayur. Untuk permulaan memang banyak cabaran jugalah. Tapi selepas tu saya ubah suai balik, kita buat pokok untuk kita jual, anak pokok. Bermula daripada 3 jenis pokok, sekarang dah ada lebih daripada 10 jenis pokok yang kita pasarkan kat sini lah sehingga sekarang ni lah. Alhamdulillah lah dapat juga kerjasama daripada pegawai pertanian jugalah.
Tambah beliau, hasil penjualan pokok dan anak pokok dapat menjana pendapatan bagi komuniti selain ia dijadikan sebagai modal untuk membaik pulih kebun tersebut. Sementara itu, Pengerusi Pawai Muhammad Yusof Othman berkata, menerusi program-program seperti ini memberi peluang kepada warga emas menyertai dari aspek kesihatan dan keharmonian.
Kita menjaga dan merealisasikan warga-warga emas ni untuk berrekreasi atau kita hendakkan mereka apabila mereka duduk di sini mereka dapat relax. Itulah tujuan kita. Kalau kita, pada saya lah, orang-orang tua ni, kalau kita tak ada kawan, duduk rumah tengok menengok dinding, itu tak baik. Biar kita ada kawan, adakan program untuk dia orang supaya dia orang sihat. Kesihatan itu paling mustahak sekali.
Pelbagai jenis pokok yang dihasilkan menerusi program ini seperti cili padi, peria, bayam Brazil dan lain-lain. Program ini turut berselari dengan agenda keterjaminan makanan yang dihasratkan kerajaan Malaysia dalam memupuk pembangunan ekonomi bagi warga emas. Pawai adalah satu inisiatif yang dikendalikan oleh Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat JKM di bawah Belanjawan 2024 khusus untuk warga emas menjalankan aktiviti harian dalam komuniti.
Dibawakan oleh penaja utama jelajah jiwa SME, Unify Business, rakan digital pilihan anda. Khazanah Nasional berhad melancarkan Fund Managers Program EMP dan Regional Fund Managers Initiative RMI yang akan dikelolakan di bawah National Fund of Funds NFUF susulan pemerolehan pengurusan modal teruka Malaysia MEFCAP dan pencana kapital PK pada Julai tahun ini. Pengarah urusan Khazanah Dato' Amirul Faisal Wan Zahir berkata, melalui pelancaran EMP, Khazanah menyasarkan untuk memastikan pertumbuhan pengurus dana modal teruka VC tempatan yang berterusan dan mempunyai ekosistem VC yang dinamik di Malaysia. Jumlah volume industri TIV pada September susut 15% kepada 58,032 unit berbanding 68,174 unit pada bulan sama tahun lalu, kata Persatuan Automotif Malaysia MAA. Pada bulan dikaji, perangkaan persatuan itu menunjukkan kenderaan penumpang mencatatkan jualan sebanyak 52,922 unit, jatuh 14% berbanding 61,548 unit tahun sebelumnya. Saham bagi sektor pengguna dan pembinaan Malaysia dijangka mendapat manfaat besar dalam Belanjawan 2025 kerana kerajaan berusaha meningkatkan gaji selain mengekalkan pertumbuhan ekonomi menerusi rancangan perbelanjaannya pada tahun hadapan. Perdana Menteri yang juga Menteri Kewangan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim akan menyampaikan langkah-langkah bagi menurunkan kos sara hidup dan beberapa projek infrastruktur apabila beliau membuat pembentangan pada 18 Oktober 2024. Laporan penuh di saluran 501 dan astroawani.com serta daganus.com. Baik, seterusnya saya akan bentangkan beberapa data dan juga statistik berkenaan dengan pergerakan dan juga prestasi ringgit di mana ringgit susut berbanding dolar Amerika Syarikat untuk ditutup rendah pada Selasa berikutan penurunan ketara harga minyak mentah dan jangkaan berterusan terhadap pengurangan lebih kecil bagi kadar faedah Amerika Syarikat. Dan pada pukul 6 petang, mata wang tempatan turun kepada 4.3080 atau 3120 berbanding dolar Amerika daripada 4.2945 atau 2995 ketika ditutup semalam. Gubernur Rizab Persekutuan Amerika Syarikat Christopher Waller telah menyarankan supaya pendekatan lebih berhati-hati terhadap pengurangan kadar faedah menunjukkan data ekonomi terkini yang menyalahkan kekukuhan ekonomi dan pasaran tenaga kerja Amerika menurut laporan terkini. Baik, jom kita tengok adakah pergerakan ringgit berbanding dolar Amerika hari ini terus menyusut. Kalau kita dapat lihat setakat jam 9.40 pagi hari ini 16 Oktober 2024, ringgit berada pada paras 4.305 menyusut lebih berbanding apa yang kita kongsikan tadi berkenaan dengan prestasi ringgit semalam. Kalau kita lihat antara puncanya adalah berkenaan dengan kebimbangan terhadap penurunan lagi berkenaan dengan kadar faedah Amerika Syarikat pada mesyuarat FOMC akan datang. Dan kalau kita dapat lihat di sini ringgit pernah mencapai tahap yang paling kukuh dalam sekitar pada lebih kurang pada bulan September. Kalau kita boleh tunjukkan pada 27 September 2024, ringgit adalah di pada kadar ataupun pada tahap yang paling kukuh lebih kurang 4.1249 pada 27 September. Ini kalau kita dapat lihat pengukuhan ataupun prestasi yang agak kukuh dan stabil untuk ringgit setakat ini dalam bermula pada bulan Mei tahun ini 2024. Kalau kita dapat saksikan penurunan graf itu dan ini menandakan pengukuhan nilai ringgit berbanding dengan dolar Amerika, $1 Amerika. Kalau kita nak tunjukkan juga prestasi dolar Amerika, prestasi ringgit kalau kita bandingkan dengan dolar Amerika, yang paling lemah adalah kita dapat saksikan dalam 3 poin ini. Yang paling lemah yang hampir mencecah 4.8, iaitu kalau kita boleh tunjukkan bermula dari tahun lepas November sekitar Oktober 25 2023, kemudian pada lebih kurang pada bulan Februari 21 hari bulan iaitu sekitar 4.79, sikit lagi nak mencecah 4.8, dan juga pada lebih kurang April 17 2024 pada pada 4.7861. Namun kita dapat saksikan pengukuhan nilai ringgit itu sehinggalah pada hari ini namun menaik sedikit disebabkan beberapa faktor kebimbangan dan juga disebabkan konflik di Asia Barat, ketegangan geopolitik juga memberi faktor ataupun dorongan kepada penurunan ataupun penyusutan nilai ringgit. Dan ini adalah perbandingan nilai ringgit berbanding dengan dolar Amerika. Kalau saya nak tunjukkan juga perbandingan antara Singapura dolar dan ringgit Malaysia untuk setakat hari ini, kalau boleh saya tunjukkan untuk hari ini ia juga menyusut sama dengan dolar Amerika iaitu pada hari ini 3.28696 untuk hari ini 16 Oktober 2024. Kalau kita boleh tunjukkan ringgit itu paling mengukuh kalau kita bandingkan dengan dolar Singapura iaitu pada lebih kurang, kalau boleh saya bawakan sikit, pada 25 September 2024 iaitu pada paras 3.2031 jika kita bandingkan dengan Singapore dollar. Tidak jauh beza, namun kita dapat saksikan juga perbezaan ataupun penyusutan nilai ringgit itu sehinggalah hari ini mencapai 3.2896 dan kita masih akan jangkakan juga menghampiri tahun 2025 ini ada berapakah nilainya nanti kita akan saksikan juga. Kita akan terus bawakan perkembangan semasa antara nilai ringgit dan juga Singapura dollar dan juga US dollar juga. Baik, itu adalah berkenaan dengan Singapura pergerakan ringgit. Kita akan kongsikan juga berkenaan dengan prestasi bursa di mana indeks utama bursa Malaysia ditutup tinggi pada Selasa berikutan pembelian sederhana dalam produk dan perkhidmatan pengguna telekomunikasi dan saham perbankan dalam keadaan prestasi pasaran serantau yang bercampur-campur. Dan pada 5 petang, FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI FBM KLCI meningkat 5.43 mata atau 0.33% kepada 1641.97 daripada 1636.54 semasa ditutup pada Isnin. Okey, saya akan tunjukkan pergerakan bursa untuk setakat hari ini pada jam lebih kurang 9.28 pagi yang menurun sedikit 0.21% dan turun 3.38 mata dan berada pada paras 1638.72. Kalau kita boleh tunjukkan prestasi bursa dalam jangka masa seminggu bermula dengan Khamis minggu lalu sehinggalah hari Rabu hari ini, kalau kita dapat lihat perbezaan yang turun naik yang agak ketara di sini. Kalau kita dapat lihat paling tinggi adalah sekitar pada hari Jumaat iaitu parasnya adalah 1644 pada 4 petang. Namun kita dapat saksikan penurunan yang agak jauh di sini, di bawah sini kalau kita boleh tunjukkan dalam lebih kurang 1632 pada 11 hari bulan 11 Oktober pada sekitar 4.25 petang. Kalau kita boleh tunjukkan hari ini pergerakan itu agak ada naik turun berlega-lega antara 1630 dan juga 1600 lebih sikit 1645. Namun yang paling tinggi adalah apa yang saya tunjukkan tadi adalah sekitar 1645 pada 10 hari bulan Oktober 2024 pada jam lebih kurang 3 lebih. Kalau kita boleh tunjukkan dalam jangka masa yang panjang sikit, dalam jangka masa sebulan, kita dapat saksikan penurunan yang agak ketara. Kita dapat saksikan pengukuhan atau kestabilan pasaran saham FTSE Bursa Malaysia FBM KLCI iaitu pada lebih kurang 1673 paling tinggi setakat ini. Namun kita dapat saksikan tarikh yang khusus. Namun kita dapat saksikan yang paling tinggi itu adalah pada antara September 2023 hari bulan dan September 30 hari bulan. Namun kita dapat saksikan penyusutan pasaran bursa saham itu memasuki bulan Oktober. Dan itu antara yang saya boleh kongsikan berkenaan dengan pasaran FBM KLCI. Dan saya akan teruskan juga berkenaan dengan prestasi di sekitar Asia Tenggara. Kalau boleh saya tunjukkan di sini, the Asia Dow Index USD berada pada paras 4,328.65, turun sikit 0.66%. Dan turun 28.89 mata untuk setakat hari ini pada sekitar 9.45 pagi. Dan untuk Oktober 15, 2024 itu adalah berkenaan dengan prestasi Asia Dow Index. Kalau kita boleh tengok dalam jangka masa seminggu, ia agak stabil namun ada sedikit turun naiknya di situ. Kalau kita boleh tunjukkan di sini, yang paling terendah adalah dalam sekitar 4,352, tidak banyak beza, namun ini adalah yang paling terendah juga. Namun ini kalau menghampiri pada bulan Rabu juga agak rendah, iaitu sekitar 4322.35 pada 15 Oktober 2024 pada sekitar 8.40 PM. Kalau boleh tunjukkan, paling tinggi melepasi paras 4,400 adalah pada hari 14 Oktober 2024 dan itu adalah berkenaan dengan The Asia Dow Index USD setakat hari ini. Dan juga dalam jangka masa seminggu, saya akan tunjukkan juga berkenaan dengan Asia Market Data untuk setakat hari ini 16 Oktober. Ini adalah antara 5 sektor utama dan saya akan tunjukkan satu persatu, bermula dengan Nikkei 225 Index turun 710 mata dalam lebih kurang 0.78% dan nilainya adalah 39,203.36 dan itu adalah Nikkei 225. Untuk Hang Seng juga turun 0.6 dan matanya adalah indeksnya adalah 20,209.03, manakala Shanghai Composite Index juga turun 0.66% dan indeksnya adalah 3,180 lebih kurang. Dan juga untuk FTSE Straits Times Index, satu-satunya menunjukkan positif, kenaikan yang positif, iaitu sebanyak 0.33% dan nilainya adalah 3,607. Dan yang terakhir adalah S&P ASX 200 Benchmark Index turun sedikit 0.34% dan nilainya adalah 8,290. Dan ini adalah sedikit sebanyak perkongsian data dan juga statistik yang penting untuk kita tahu berkenaan ringgit, pasaran bursa saham FBM KLCI dan juga pasaran Asia di seluruh Asia, dan itu akan kami bawakan setiap hari di Niaga Awani. Jadi banyak lagi perkongsian selepas ini bersama rakan setugas senior Rozman. Jadi kita akan berhenti rehat seketika, kembali selepas ini. Kenangan research meramalkan genting plantations Berhad mencatatkan pendapatan lebih kukuh pada separuh kedua 2024 didorong peningkatan pengeluaran buah tandan segar BTS. Firma pendidikan itu berkata syarikat peladangan itu yang majoritinya dimiliki oleh genting Berhad mencatatkan pengeluaran BTS yang lemah pada separuh pertama 2024. Untung bersih Eurospend Holdings Berhad pada suku pertama berakhir 31 Ogos 2024 melonjak kepada 23.3 juta ringgit berbanding 4.1 juta ringgit pada suku sama tahun sebelumnya didorong penjualan dua anak syarikatnya pada suku berkenaan. Katanya pelepasan Dynaspend Furniture Sdn Bhd dan Eurospend Furniture Sdn Bhd siap sepenuhnya pada 2 Julai dan 6 Ogos 2024. Exim Hospitality Berhad yang dahulunya dikenali sebagai Pan Malaysia Holdings Berhad meraih subkontrak 47.4 juta ringgit untuk menyediakan kerja-kerja pemasangan reka bentuk dalaman pejabat 4 tingkat di Damansara Perdana. Katanya anak syarikat milik penuhnya Exim Konsepto Sdn Bhd ECSB menerima surat anugerah daripada Discovery Media Sdn Bhd untuk subkontrak di bawah projek yang membabitkan pembangunan 560 unit pejabat. Laporan penuh di saluran 501 dan astro.awani.com serta daganus.com.
University Malaya UM is expected to offer a cardiothoracic specialist training course this October.
There will be no U-turn on the implementation of the Vehicle Entry Permit VEP for all foreign vehicles entering Malaysia from Singapore.
Diesel sales at petrol stations have decreased by 30% within the first week of the fuel subsidy rationalisation on June 10th.
Pertembungan memburu kemenangan semakin sengit di GP Penang. Jago-jago terunggul melonjak tinggi melangkaui batas, menggapai kegemilangan yang diimpikan. Segalanya dipertaruhkan, setiap saat mesti diperjuangkan. Satu dekad penuh gemilang, emas anwar sepak takraw League Premier secara langsung di Astro.
Today, I have the incredible honor of hearing from Southeast Asia's most influential business figure who has true visionary that has redefined aviation industry and beyond. He's the co-founder of AirAsia and the current CEO of Capital A, which was previously known as AirAsia Group Berhad, who has transformed air travel in Asia, making it accessible to millions. His bold move in 2001 to buy AirAsia with just RM1 is now legendary. Under his leadership, the airline grew into Asia's largest low-cost carrier. Now let's hear a conversation with Tony Fernandez. All right, to help us unveil the next chapter for Capital A and AirAsia and understand how its transformational journey, I welcome you, the man himself, the CEO of Capital A, Tan Sri Tony Fernandez. It's an honor to have you here with us.
Pleasure, thanks for being here.
Maybe you can start with Capital A as it reshaped its future. What role does AirAsia Aviation plays in reinforcing Kuala Lumpur position as the low-cost carrier globally?
Yeah.
And what advantages does brings to the passengers and even the stakeholders?
Yeah. So two things. Firstly, I'll answer your first question first. If the shareholders tomorrow at AirAsia X approve the acquisition of AirAsia, we create an airline that could really deliver the vision me and Kamarudin had 23 years ago. We had to create two airlines because at that point AirAsia Airbus didn't give us a plane that could fly more than 4 hours. Now with the Airbus LR, long range, and XLR, we can use a narrow body to go 10 hours, which changes the whole economics. So the need for two airlines doesn't exist. And when we combine that, we will have lower costs, which will mean lower fares, more flights, more connections, more destinations, and obviously more growth and more profitability for shareholders. So that's AirAsia Group. And the second part is Capital A creates this very strong aviation services group led by ADE, and I think we can challenge Singapore now as being an aviation maintenance repair center because of AirAsia's planes and food, all these things. And then our digital network of AirAsia Move will also enhance more passengers coming to KLIA. So this separation is only going to drive more business into Malaysia, which is fantastic and great growth for shareholders.
With the disposable to AirAsia Aviation to AirAsia X and the move towards the consolidation, maybe you can share with us, how can you ensure what is to expect for the operational and structural changes to ensure seamless integration in the next years between the short haul and even the long haul services?
Well, a big part of that is the new plane, the long range and the short range. So, and working with Malaysian Airports. Malaysian Airports has been a great partner. We've had our ups and downs like any relationship. I think this is a purple patch for us that we're now, I had great discussions with Khazanah and our team has met Malaysian Airports. We're looking at how we can go from number 2 in the world to number 1. As the mega hub. I can't believe that we're in a position to overtake Heathrow Airport. And as we build out our low cost from Asia to Africa, Europe, and eventually America by 2030. So we'll work with the airport to make it seamless. Number 1 is providing routes that no one else flew to. 60% of our routes are new destinations. And most important for our customers, a low fare. And so I'm very driven to lower our average fare and make sure that customers get a good deal.
And we want to understand how will AirAsia Aviation leverage on Capital A for strategic focus to enhance customer experience and ensure operational business?
Number 1 is AirAsia Move, our OTA. So our version of Traveloka and Expedia. We're building it out. We are enhancing our AI on that. We're working with Google. We just announced a big deal with Google to create probably the first really truly AI travel assistant. So AirAsia Move will make it easier to fly on AirAsia and other airlines as well. And then the engineering capabilities of ADE and Santan and GTR will enhance. But today is an amazing day for me. 23 years I've had a lot of ups and downs, many more ups. We've surprised the world. It was fantastic actually looking at that presentation from OAG where 23 years ago The Economist said that low cost will never work in Asia. And now low cost is probably bigger than premium airlines. And unbelievable for me, you know, when I saw the government 23 years ago, I said, we want to make KL bigger than Singapore. And today we're number 2 and Singapore's number 10 is a remarkable story, and we'll try and beat Heathrow, which will be incredible.
It's also a remarkable journey, as you can see, and given the ambitious goal to expand AirAsia X and reactivate XX craft, maybe you can share with us what are some of the Capital A plans to support its growth while maintaining its profitability in this increasingly competitive low-cost carrier globally?
Yeah. Well, I think number one, just to say competition is at its best. People are sticking to their own markets, which is great. You know, with the new structure, aviation can raise capital independently. Capital A can raise capital independently and Capital A will support it through engineering, food, ground handling, and AirAsia Move and Big Pay. And AirAsia will provide a good business for those businesses. So they're very symbiotic.
And what are future plans for Capital A to further differentiate AirAsia Aviation from other Asia low-cost carrier globally?
Well, hopefully by Wednesday, aviation will be its own company. How do we continue? Well, number one, we'll be the first airline in the world that is using narrow body to fly up to 10 hours. That's a big differentiator. And two, we will do routes that no one else has done before. We continue to innovate with AI to provide a better customer experience. We'll continue to give great food. We have wonderful crew. But most important is low fares and going to places that people never dreamt about. That's number one for me. And flying as many times as possible.
And with the global identity, maybe how will Capital A ensure this growth will create interconnected between ASEAN and broader global presence?
Well, you know, I'm a number one believer in ASEAN. I'm an ASEANist. We have made ASEAN a smaller place, and we've connected ASEAN like no one else. The recent ASEAN conference in Laos, most people came on AirAsia from ASEAN, whether it's from the Philippines, whether it's from Thailand, Malaysia. Tan Sri Nazir Razak and his team had to fly on AirAsia. That was the only direct flight. So, look, we will make AirAsia continue to make ASEAN a smaller place. I believe ASEAN should be marketed as one tourism destination. That people from Europe can go to Bangkok, then KL, then Bali. We have so much to offer in ASEAN. So we'll continue that journey.
As we heard today, Tan Sri AirAsia Capital A will continue its growth to gain one of the leader position in the digital innovation hub and in the travel air. Thank you very much, Tan Sri. Thank you. Hope to see you again.
See you soon.
See you soon. See you on the plane. Yes.
Okay,
thank you,
bye.
Tan Sri. Bye. Today, Capital A is positioning itself as a leader in both air travel and digital innovation in Southeast Asia. And this journey continues to inspire, evolve, and breaking new ground. And we hope to see the next chapter of this remarkable story and witnessing new heights it will reach.